Hello, my name is Eric Williams. I'm the owner of Silver Room, which John introduced. It is a retail space, but it's much more than that, which I'm still trying to figure out the exact words to tell people what it is in a short amount of time. Hopefully by the end of the year I'll figure this out. So I was thinking about how to tell the story of the store and what we do, and I just kept coming back to history, and I can't really tell the story of what we're doing now without giving you a little bit of background history on myself. So I'll try and make this as fast as possible. Here you go. So I'm from a town called Robbins, Illinois. It's about 3 miles south of Chicago, but it's very rural. It's like Mississippi. So no street lights, no sidewalks, poor infrastructure. So that was my first taste of kind of like seeing the have and have-nots living in Robbins. My second slide actually is one of the most important slides, and this was my first taste of community, which was our church, like many people who grew up, especially in small towns. The church was the first place I really saw the power of music. The first place I saw the power of spirit, overtake people to a point where they fall out, And I remember as a little kid remembering like, wow, this is interesting. I want to be able to kind of have that power someday, using music and just the spirit of the church. So here is the third slide, which is my dad, which, wow, he looks like me. I look like him. That's really crazy. So my father actually worked at a factory for a long time, and he opened up a bar in our small town. And that was like my first job, actually, was working at his bar. And it taught me a lot about, again, music, people coming together, community engagement, the struggles of small business. And I learned a lot of lessons at my father's bar. This building is very important to me. This is the Robbins Community Center, which, again, like small towns, we had a church, we had a bar, had a little community center. This is where I learned how to play basketball. This is where I had my first party. This is where I had my first job at a government-sponsored program. And later, my mom was actually laid to rest at this building too, so had a lot of importance to me. So as I was growing up, I was really getting into music from my father's bar, and just my sisters were into music, and it just became a big part of my life. And my uncle, his name is Ronnie Boykins, he was a bass player for Sun Ra. I don't know if you know who Sun Ra is, but so Sun Ra would he'd come out of the house. I didn't know who this weird guy was, and my grandmother used to call it just crazy way out music, she called it. But I mean, I remember the music. Can you hear? Is this? Okay. All right. I remember the music, again, was just always playing and just became a big part of my life. And on top of the music was his fashion choices, which were kind of way out. They were kind of way out. So, but I thought it was kind of cool. So this is me. When I turned 14, 15, the music thing it was just in me, and I wanted to be a DJ. House music in Chicago in the 80s was a big deal, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I went out and got some turntables, and I started practicing, and that building I talked about before is where I had my first party. This was the most interesting project, researching this. I found all this old stuff. I'm just laughing at this. So you see my name was Eric Erotic Williams. That was my that was my DJ name, which is really funny. I think this was 86, 87. I remember this party because nobody came. Literally nobody came. And I learned a lot of lessons, which later on I will, I kept them up here. So again, the music thing just was in my heart, and I started going out a lot to parties. And that's kind of where my life took a real turn, because, growing up in a small town, being bused to another community and kind of trying to navigate these two different places. And, like a lot of people, you don't really feel a part of any place. But when I came here, it didn't matter. Everyone was the same, old, young, gay, straight. What color you are, it didn't really matter. The music was kind of what kept us together. So I just really, really got into the music. So I wanted to play something for you real quick, if I can. Where is this at? Oops. My technology is horrible. I'm sorry, real quick. I'm gonna find this. Just to play it, yeah.
Oh, cursor's invisible. That makes it real hard, doesn't it? You can see it on the screen. Oh, yeah.
It's not about the space itself. It's about the community that's inside the space that helps you bring you back to that moment. When you, the DJ, and everybody involved, it was you and them against the world. And we survived together.
Anyway, I just wanted to play that because I was one of those people in that crowd, dancing. So, but I mean, I still get chills thinking about the time and the music. It just was like the best time of my life because you can go and be yourself. And again, it was a big impact for me because I didn't really know that until I started going out to these places, which my mom didn't always know. She had other plans for me. So I was a decent student. And, again, this is the late 80s, and they were trying to get young black men in particular to go to business school. And they told me if I picked a major in business, I can go to school for free. So he gave me a list of 5 majors. I think it was accounting, econ, business management, finance, marketing. I said, which one makes the most money? He said, finance. I said, okay, I'll be a finance major. So I was a finance major. And so I did that for... I went to school for finance, graduated, I got a degree. I was a broker for a short period of time, but I kept going to these clubs, and I was just kind of kept pulling me. So meanwhile, while I was in school, I was down the street from Maxwell Street. If any of you know Chicago, I went to UIC. It's like 2 blocks from Maxwell Street. So I had to make money in school. So I would, after class, I would go and buy T-shirts. And I would sell them to my classmates, and I would go on the trains and sell them, and socks, et cetera, et cetera. And that life became very exciting to me because the people were interesting, and they were nonconformist. They were, didn't really care about living in this world everyone else wanted to live in, and I kind of enjoyed that too. So now I'm navigating this nightclub world and the street peddling world. So this is Wicker Park. In the early 90s. Wicker Park is a neighborhood that is gentrified. At the time I moved in, it was probably the beginnings of it. Much like many neighborhoods, big, huge spaces, artists, we could throw parties there, cheap rent, you name it, So that's where I found my home because, again, it was this world of nonconformists. And I settled in there. And 8 years of street peddling, selling stuff on the streets and traveling, it got a little tiring. So I found a space, and I opened up this place called the Silver Room. It was an ode to my father's bar called the Blue Room. I was selling silver. I was going back and forth, traveling around the country, selling, you name it, I was selling it. Legal, so. And so I opened the space up, and it was a small shop, and, it was my way to make a little money and not have to go back into the grind of the financial world, which I didn't like at all. Meanwhile, I was still doing these street festivals, and I just didn't like the ones that I was seeing in Chicago. I didn't like the music, I didn't like the food, I didn't like some of the people. So I decided to start my own fest, which was a block party, which literally, that's actually an alley. So that's an alley. My house is upstairs. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna call some friends over. We're gonna set up a little small stage and DJ and play music and get the community to come out. And so this was actually our first block party. So yeah, we probably had 100. Some people came out. I was actually really happy. We had a stage with cinder blocks and milk crates, and we had a great time. People went in the alley and danced. Actually, I remember going to the alderman and asking him for the permit. He said, "This is an alley." I said, "Yeah, I know." He said, I never gave a permit for an alley. I said, well, this will be the first one. And he was like, okay. So we had a party in the alley. And I remember just the night, I was like, wow, this is beauty. I mean, an alley is like an ugly place for most people. And we made it beautiful. And I remember that. That was another lesson I learned. So we kept doing these block parties. We kept engaging the community. And this is the crowd from last year. So last year was 30,000 people. So over the course of 14 years, we grew from 200 people to 30,000 people. And it's been the same formula, the same energy. It's friends, it's family, it's music, it's culture, it's art. It's just having a good time. And I've never wavered from that. And now, we have a lot of people. I got to figure out how to fit these people into the same footprint next year, which maybe I can have you guys help me figure that out. So, thinking about the store, its impact on community, wasn't something I was thinking about when I first opened. I was just trying to make some money, And but having this space, I've met so many artists, which this is my ode to my artist T-shirts. And I realized that having a space that I thought was just a retail space, it soon became much more. It became an art gallery for my artist friends. It became a place to do poetry readings for my poet friends. It became a dance studio, a fashion runway, you name it. We started to do it. So this is actually talking about the block party from this year and the impact it had. Not just the cultural impact, but the economic impact. So I can fast forward that one. So we commissioned this company to do a study. So I can really say, yes, we had a good time, we had fun, but this was the actual impact in the community. So $1.5 million just from this party, just from this idea. That's vendors who made money. That is hotels, that's restaurateurs, that is, artists. So it had a big impact on the neighborhood. And the last few years I've been thinking about this more like, yes, it's a party, but the economic impact is not just short-lived, it's actually long-term. Because people think that they can actually have agency to do things in the neighborhood now, but before they maybe didn't believe that they could. So community engagement, community involvement, I mean, that's kind of what I'm about right now. That's what the store is about. It's a retail space. We sell jewelry, we sell watches and, really cool stuff. But equally as important to me is how can I get other folks involved in what I'm doing and what we're doing. So these are the 5 areas I could try and focus on. And this kind of came out of the people. We had this space, and then people will come to you and say, hey, can I do a class, a language class? Can we do something, a story night? Just a chance to people to get together and talk to one another, which is something we kind of take for granted. The food justice is a big thing now. We live in neighborhoods in the South Side of Chicago that don't have fresh food. So we talk about those issues also. So these are the things that we kind of focus on in the store, and also the business aspect. Obviously, we have artists in the store who sell things and they make money. So that's a huge part of it. This is something I actually did last year, because after I left here the first time, I was like, wow, I don't think about what my business is. So I asked the customers to tell me what it is. And so we had about 50 people came out and kind of told us what it meant to them. So that's actually my daughter, the top right. So yes. So here we are. So I'm here. I'm trying to figure out what this space means. It's more than a retail space. What are we going to be doing in the future? And right now, I think my main focus is how do I take the energy and the spirit of the store and use it outside of the space. So one of the things that I got commissioned to do from the University of Chicago was called Connect. I called it Connect. It was basically using 7 empty storefronts on the south side, and we turned them into art galleries. So I got 7 curators to do different spaces. So that's me. I hurt my back, actually, with that. That was a piece this artist made out of these plastic little pieces and made a whale. So one of my favorite things, we had a lot of kids come and do art in the space. But from that space, we were given a permanent space. So we have an art gallery now, too. It's called Connect. So that's just an example of what temporary urbanism, which I didn't even know that word until I got here, urban ephemera. Anyway, but yeah, so this is something I was asked to do for the elders. A lot of people in the neighborhood are 65 and older. So we did a 50s, 60s dance. And so they came out and they had a great time. And this guy was, I love this dude. So, John, you got a jacket like this? I think, right? So these guys were just really, really cool cats. And actually from that, we took the photographs and did a art show and sold that. And from the money we made from that, we did a Halloween pop-up play in the store. So kind of trying to figure out how to make all this stuff work. So 15 minutes, I think this is actually my last video. Where we at? Not bad, right, Sally? Where we at? So this actually is from the block party from this year. I just want to show you that video. I think it's important that there's other views of Chicago. We get a bad rap for all the bad stuff, and it does happen, but there's mostly this. And I just want you to know that that happens. So my last slide would be, here we go, just it. All right, cool. So this was actually last May. We had a busy month. So if you look at some of the stuff that we were doing, story nights, we had pop-up shows, a lot of temporary urbanism happening. So for me right now, I'm here to figure out how I can do more of this and how it can be scaled in other neighborhoods, how we can take some of the energy and the spirit of what we're doing and kind of grow it. So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. Maybe a nonprofit, some consulting things. I'll tell you in May. So anyway, thank you.